Hi everyone, this is Niels with another tutorial for Cloud Manager. This time I'm going to show you how to set up your virtual network. This requires you to have configured your cloud provider and cloud connector. That is part of a preceding tutorial, so please check that out if you haven't done so. I configured my provider and connector already, and I can see my connector name here. It's the Azure Linux, and I can see my 4 VMs that are going to be created when starting this connector here. I can see my configuration, Azure Linux. I can see my VM image that is going to be used for the cloud nodes, the VM size, and the cluster size. I already did all this configuration. And I'm not going to start this connector right now. That is part of another tutorial. I'm going to start the virtual network setup right now. And I'm going to show that with the Azure provider, but it works for any other provider the same way. I click on virtual network setup here. And then I have this dialog here that summarizes all the configuration that is going to be used in order to create the virtual network. Please make sure that all these informations are correct. And if so, you can click on Create Virtual Network, and then your virtual network is going to be created. That might take a while, so don't worry. I'll be back in a second. Okay, awesome. The virtual network has been created. And we can see now the deployment state says succeeded. Awesome. And then we have the OpenVPN configuration. The VM power state is running. The VM is the VM that is running our VPN server, so we can connect from on-premise to our OpenVPN server. Then we have a private IP address. We have a public DNS name, which is this here, and we can use that in order to connect with our OpenVPN client and have a OpenVPN tunnel into our virtual network. Okay, so the next thing is that we need to create a configuration for a server and client. We're going to create a config here. We only have 2 required fields here. The first one, I'm going to use DE for Deutschland, for Germany, which is the country I'm located in. And then we have a common name. I use the same name I've been using for the cloud provider. In this case, this is Azure Toot. And then I'm going to click generate, and that's going to create a key, a certificate, and the server and client config. So that might take a few minutes. I think it won't take too long here. Just wait a second. Okay, so the configuration has been created. And now before we click install server config here, what we can do is, in order to check whether this machine is running properly and we can connect using SSH, we can quickly click on Open PuTTY here, and then we can accept the fingerprint here, and we are connected to the OpenVPN server. So that works. So we can close this window again here, and then we can click on Install Server Config. Okay, that was it. The server config has been installed on our virtual machine. And now we can install the client config here. And that requires you to have OpenVPN already installed. And if you haven't done so, please install the OpenVPN client for your operating system. We have another tutorial on that topic. So please stop this video and install that client. And after you install the client, you can click on Install Client Config. And now you have your configuration installed here on this client machine. If you have another file server on site that is serving your files to the cloud clients, or if you have another share for Royal Render, you might want to enable IPv4 forwarding so that this machine that is running the Cloud Manager can forward IP packages into your local network. So, and this is simply an entry in your registry, and then you really want to say, okay, I really want to do that. And then the registry has been altered to enable IP forwarding. Okay, so, and that's basically it for the virtual network setup. We can have a little peek into what happened behind the curtain here. And on the left side, you see the portal.azure.com website. And you see the virtual network setup has created a resource group that contains all of the resources that are necessary for our virtual network. We have a public IP, we have a render security group, we have routing tables, we have a disk for the virtual machine, we have a VPN security group, and we have the virtual machine itself, and we have a network adapter for the virtual machine. So if you please check out in-depth tutorials for Azure to figure out what all this means in detail. For now, you only have to know that everything has been created successfully. And if anything goes wrong in this step and you need to recreate the virtual network, what you have to do is simply go up here and delete the whole resource group that cleans up everything that we created from within the Cloud Manager. So just click on delete resource group and then apply force delete. And in order to confirm that you really want to delete this here, you have to add rrAzure toot and click on delete. I'm not going to do that here because I want to work with this virtual network in order to create more tutorials. And that's it for now. So we've learned how to use the setup virtual network wizard here. And in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to start your connector and actually work with this virtual network in order to get your renders up and running. Thank you very much and have a great day.